discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello, good afternoon. It's a lovely Tuesday afternoon here, coming to you very sunny and bright from the nation's capital, Abuja, from the Leadership Podcast Studio uh, here in Abuja. Of course, for God and country. Of course, it's also the segment, the Agribusiness segment of the Money Radio show here from the Leadership Podcast Studio, coming to you straight from Abuja. It's a lovely Tuesday afternoon, and of course, we'll briefly have a look at what some of the food prices are actually saying at the moment, and some of the indices, and then, of course, we'll go deep into our conversation with the two heavy, intelligent, smart people just sitting to my left and my right. Of course, it's Mr. Marcos Zagi is here with us in the studio today, and of course, the one and only Dr. Habib Ali is also here with us to discuss a few things that will strengthen our agribusiness segment of our economy here coming to you in Abuja. Of course, so straight up, we'll go into some of the headlines as it relates to food prices. Right now, a kilo of catfish is now going for 1,700 to 1,750, depending on where you're buying it from at the moment. And this is largely because the fish feed is actually going up again. It has remained very high and also is still going up. And of course, this trend may also continue for a while. And of course, the kilo of chicken is now going for 2,600 to 2,700, depending on where you're also buying it from. And this is largely because DOC has been very exceptional. At the moment, this morning, we're thankful too that DOC is now selling for 550 this morning. But if you're watching this podcast, of course, you've been joining us, you know that 2-3 weeks ago it went to as high as 950. That's a lot of difference. It's a reduction of almost about 400 naira for a day old chicks. So that is also impacting on the price. I'm not even talking about the feed cost of production. And of course, the value of a normal beef at the moment is going for a kg of beef is going for 3,200, 3,000 to 3,200, depending on also where you're also buying it from. And of course, I don't want to go much detail because Mr. Marcos, if we continue in that price issue, sometimes we'll get bored with some of it. But of course, there are a lot of factors that are impacting on this price, and then it's one of the reasons why we're running this show, to ensure that we have more people who are also investing in this sector, who are managing their investment properly, so that things can be a lot easy for a lot of people across the country, and then farmers can also rejoice from their yield and then their production too. So, of course, we'll go straight into our discussion for the day, discussing the dynamic nature of the Nigerian agribusiness. It's such a broad topic. Of course, with these few minutes that we have, may not be enough for us to do justice to the topic. But of course, there's so much that is impacting on our agribusiness generally. Political decisions, economic decisions that they are making on behalf of the country, our economic, microeconomic indices, and of course other factors that has to also do with weather, and also uh, issues that also impact on other um, natural factors and uh, people or behavioral factors of farmers as well. And of course, this in this discussion, we would like to also channel it to the main people because, of course, as a farmer myself, we would like to channel it to one. How are policies and microeconomic decisions affecting the farm or the agribusiness segment of our economy? In my view, we can throw more light. Any of you can respond to this. How do we dissect between this nature of uh, government policy constantly impacting on the farming activity in Nigeria?
You see, well, this issue of economy, I believe, is not only in Nigeria. It's global. It's global. In as much as, and I believe some of the policies the government are making is just for for them to make the livelihood or to make
Support
to
system.
support the system of and to make the living more better for individuals. It's not as if they are taking that decision for. Of course, it's going to have something in return to the government, but at least just to make the living better for people. When you as I'm talking about these prices of kilo of fish, chicken, and all that, averagely now, a lot of people cannot even afford the chicken again because of the. And I won't blame people that are selling at that because this thing is they are selling what they are buying. By the time you factor the price now, 2 weeks we were getting
DOC for
DOC
950.
for 950. Can you imagine DOC from day old to the point of water?
For the broilers.
You can imagine things that are the stress, like the time your time you spent in raising them. So you wouldn't want to give what you wouldn't want to lose. The sole aim of every farmer is to maximize profit. How will I buy something of that higher and come and sell for? So this economy I will advise and I will beg the farmers they should please and I will beg the government also as they are making the policy they should be considering that there are a lot of people that this thing is hitting harder. So the policy should be a bit what should I call it? It should not be too harsh on farmers and on individuals. Because if the policy is harsh on farmers, we consumers we're going to feel it more.
Yes, that's right. Mr. Marcus, really, I mean, I know you deal with a lot of farming, and you and the Jivali team, of course, do a lot of things with farmers directly in the field. How has it been? What's the nature of the farmers' response to the current nature of the entire space or the agribusiness space? How are farmers responding to this reality that is upon us?
Well, uh, agriculture as it is in Nigeria, it has been as old as Nigeria. So, and initially, before the discovery of oil, agriculture production or product has been the
I wish I
major.
was alive then because they say a lot of good things about us. It's just history. They are sharing with us.
So, but as time goes on after the discovery of oil, the rate at which we export our product has been declining. But actually, with the current government and the policies, yeah, it is a good policy, but at the time, timing of the policy, already everybody's mind is on oil. It's not everybody that eats oil every day. But you say everybody must eat food every day, not just human beings, even the animals. They must eat every day. And with this current policy, actually, now the rate at which we're exporting our agri products before has been on the increase. But actually, the current challenges of the economy, which is a world
Global
worldwide
phenomenon.
phenomenon. Actually, the farmers are not finding it easy. And but Nigeria, we are blessed. We have the arable land, 70 million
Untapped as a whole.
so, and the soil is there, the manpower is there. So, but actually, the farmers are complaining, but we'll never stop talking. We'll
So,
never stop.
so of course, we just concluded the regular farming rainy season, and we're entering into another segment of the market. It's also said that irrigation activity is still below 5% in Nigeria production capacity. Um, I think, in my opinion, this is also a very huge opportunity for people to consider investment in irrigation farming. More so that we are having to deal with issues that had to do with the flooding that is just upon us as a country. And then we have had to deal with COVID-19 that came in earlier with its own troubles and its own shake up generally to the global economy, which Nigeria is also having their own share of this impact of this trend and this activity. It's how can you encourage farmers to look at to help them understand the unique nature of the irrigation structure of the Nigerian agribusiness segment of crop production generally.
I think irrigation farming as it is now is one of the most profitable and easiest farming practice farmer can any real farmer, not just like a talking farmer, a real farmer,
Real-time farmer
real time farmer,
who is
a
up
practical
and running.
farmer.
Practical farmer.
Yeah.
And by the way, everybody here in the studio, we're actively in the farming activity. I'm a full-time farmer. That is my main line of business, of course. So we are one of them, right?
Yeah,
Those
we are.
you're talking about. That's good to know. Yeah.
So actually, at the Tribal, we look at a lot of critical sectors of agriculture. We see that farmers only depend on rain for production, and once the rain is over, it's a natural is a natural gift from God. Once rains are over, you see that everybody will relax until another farming season or another year when the rain comes again. But you see, at Tribal, we start and we look at it. Farmers need to evolve into dry season farming. But if you look at the way dry season farming is being done in Nigeria, the flood irrigation farming, where farmers have to go to their farms from morning till evening trying to irrigate their land, and you see, they waste a lot of water, waste a lot of time, waste a lot of energy, waste a lot of fertilizer. Because when they apply fertilizer and they irrigate plant, they will be washed away. The run of water, the running water will wash off the fertilizer or the topsoil. And see, this one, it costs the farmer a lot. It costs the farmer a lot of from input, his energy, his time. But you see, now if with drip irrigation farming, with drip irrigation farming, where you install drippers, you have your fertilizer mixer, the tank there. You control the quantity of water, the amount of water. You
Of
irrigate
all your inputs.
all your inputs. You irrigate a whole of a hectare in minutes, not in hours. A whole of a hectare. The fertilizer application, you do it. You don't need to have a whole community, or you don't need to pick up all the farm labor or workers in the streets to come and work for you. So you everything is timely, economical. So currently, actually, with the current campaign we're running on agriculture, farmers are adopting, farmers are accepting this new innovation of agronomical practices. So farming will no longer be a rainy season activity in Nigeria. It will be a rainy season and dry season activity in Nigeria. So this percentage you are talking about will definitely improve very soon, so that we will tackle this food security and have access to export.
Fantastic. So, of course, you're wondering what we're talking about. It's the morning radio show, of course, and today we're discussing the dynamic nature of the Nigerian agribusiness generally. And, of course, in the studio, we have Mr. Marcos Zagi from the Jibali team, and, of course, Dr. Habib Aliu, who is also from the Jibali team. And then we're talking about and reviewing the entire dynamic nature of the Nigerian agribusiness space. We'll go on a quick short break, and then we'll come back shortly as we dive into another segment of the dynamic nature of the Nigerian agribusiness space. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
So welcome back to the morning radio show. Of course, here coming to you from the Leadership Podcast Studio from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Adadu Ote. Of course, I'm your Agric King here talking, and I'm here today. We're talking about the dynamic nature of the Nigerian agribusiness space. And of course, with me in the studio, we have Mr. Marcos Zaki, and of course, we have Dr. Habib Aliu, who is also, they are all from the Jibali Agri-Tech team, who are doing justice to the topic today. Of course, discussing the dynamic nature of the Nigerian agribusiness space, there's a segment of the market, uh, especially for livestock activity. We have a very peak period where there's a huge activity going on within the livestock sector, especially in the poultry industry, where you have a lot of seasonal farmers who will just jump on production just for the purpose of either Christmas, Salah, or Easter celebration, basically. This activity of these people most times is one of the big problems that I've met a lot of farmers who have also expressed concern. In as much as it's a free society, anybody can grow anything and you can raise chicken and then take it to the market and sell. Because in other environments, you cannot just wake up and say you are just starting a farm without meeting certain criteria by either government institution or certain regulatory bodies of government that are also will checkmate even as far as even things like the antibiotics you are using on the farmer. But here we are in an environment, anybody can just jump and go into production. Is this freedom a good thing for the nature of our agribusiness?
Thank you very much. It's not, and this is one of the challenges we're having currently now in Nigeria. We need to have a body or regulatory body who's going to be monitoring this. It's not just when the season is peaking, that's when you come in and come and
because there's a lot of
establish
disruption.
your farm. Yes, they are affecting they're affecting the prices in the markets because these people that are selling the DOC when they have a higher demand, definitely the price will shoot up. In fact, some of these factors that we are talking about, the prices coming in, the cost of raw materials being high, some of them might not be the cost of the price of the DOC being
going higher
like that. Some of these influx, the number you see now by ending of November, you see that the price. Why do you think the price fall like this? The demand has gone down.
Yeah.
It's not as if the dollar were
impacting
directly. So demand has gone down. So this will just come in for a period of time. You understand that? Nobody's regulating them. Nobody is telling you, okay, you are using this antibiotic. Some of them don't even have knowledge about
certain practices.
Some will give a lot of people don't know that there's what we call withdrawal period, whereby when you are before slaughtering, you don't give antibiotic to chickens 14 days to slaughter. Some will give a day to slaughter.
In fact, in the market, I have seen it in the market. I've had to pull a plastic from somebody. I said, "Did you bring this chicken to sell?" I said, "So why are you placing this bet on antibiotics?" They say, "No, we need to keep it alive."
You see, man, a lot of if you go to health sector now, a lot of they'll give a patient a drug now. They very expensive and very effective drugs. But no, it's not working. Why? We've developed resistance to some of these antibiotics.
To some of this product.
There's a concept called One Health organization whereby veterinary comes in, human medics comes in, pharmacy comes in. How can we regulate this? These people that are trained, and we got not only in chicken, in beef, in fish, pork, and all of them are all the drugs they are using have withdrawal period. They are not transferring infection. Now look at the case of tuberculosis, for instance. There are a lot of people are coming down with the infection now. You see the animal is not healthy for consumption.
They slaughter it, they give it to people.
If you go to about top 5, we have some doctors there, we have some regulatory body. Are we really doing the work? So you can see in health sector we're impacting negatively on human population and human population. In the other way too, we're doing. So we need to have a regulatory body in a nutshell, whether in the poultry production, whether in a cattle, whether in a goat, whether in a sheep, even in a pork. So we need to have a regulatory body who is going to monitor these people, how they are raising their chicken, how they are being used. In fact, some farmers, when you enlighten them, this is how we are going to do it. The farmer will tell you, I was in a shop 2 days ago where they are selling a veterinary pharmacy shop. This customer came to buy drug, the same set of drug, and she said she used the drug yesterday, barely 24 hours. You say it's not working. You want to come and buy another one. You bombard the chicken at the end of the day. Who will be the?
And she's not even giving the chicken time to process.
You won't believe this.
Same drug.
You won't believe this. This person is also a seasonal farmer. You don't know when to use drug for this, when to use this drug for antibiotic, when to use a multivitamin. You don't know. So these are people that are adding to our problems in society by having the regulatory body
or can checkmate these practices.
Wow. See, it's like it's a blanket attitude to Nigerian farmers. From the livestock crop production,
yes.
So it's a blanket character. There are people who they just come into the farming because it's the season.
Yeah,
I want to. But see, the sustainability of that, if they don't take it as a business.
Yes.
They cannot maximize profit.
No, they can't maximize profit. They don't take it as a business. If you take it as a business, it shouldn't be a seasonal business. Yeah, you can reduce the quantity of
per time,
but don't stop entirely. The knowledge you have now
may change during the next Christmas or Salah season.
There is stagnation in the growth of the sector because of this kind of character. Now you only know that if I apply this particular drugs, it will work. But that is why we have different kind of drugs for
different
because of the resistance. So you don't know that you need to change to a particular drugs after a certain time or period. But you do the production because the season is going. And when the season is off, and no more celebrations, you now abandon the business and go to other business. So you see, you make the extension agent or the medical doctor or to the agronomist to be reviewing, to be coming and be giving you this every time one particular information.
And do you know that as they are leaving that seasonal production, they are going to another seasonal production. So they are causing problems here, causing problems somewhere else.
So actually, there has to be a standard.
So this unstable set of agribusiness owners or farm owners or farmers, we need to find a way to talk to them to understand that they are actually causing a lot of disorganization in the system. And Dr. Habib, one of the issues that has actually been on my mind generally is issue of even disease. Some of these people who just jump in and out of the industry can actually be a baking pot or incubating environment for certain disease that will cause a bigger problem for the general public. Is there something like an incubating or I don't know. I mean, you are a vet doctor, yes. But when certain wrong practices actually happen, it can actually, like when references were made on things like COVID-19, for instance, when they say it just started from the lab of President, there's that whole notion that it started from the location. Same thing with animals. This thing can just start from a small environment that can impact an entire population of livestock or agribusiness.
Yes, very, very, very well. I'll take two diseases as example, which are zoonotic, that is a disease that we human can contract by consuming the. One is we call it avian influenza, bird flu.
Bird flu. Can bird flu now impact on human being now?
A human being, yes.
Interesting.
Bird flu, we call it. In fact,
do you know I'm not? Even as a food-type farmer, I have never known that bird flu can actually be transmitted to humans.
Yes, it can. That's one. Two.
Wow.
This I don't know whether you statistically the rate at which tuberculosis, if you go to some of our federal medical centers, the way they are handling the case of tuberculosis, it's becoming alarming. Now, the typical example I'll give you is some of these microorganisms, they mutate. They change form. You're supposed to use antibiotic for 5 days, eliminate it totally. You use for barely 24 hours. You say it doesn't work.
Not waiting
to be patient to clear it off. You come and use another antibiotic. So the and they are wise. You not say, okay, it's like
it's coming in this direction.
Again. Them too, they will form another mode of protecting themselves, making them survive their own. So making it resistant. Before you know, they cannot eliminate it in the body of the animal. They sell it for us to consume. You can say it's in two ways. There's what we call antibiotic residue.
Within that animal
meat we are consuming. That's only the health sector, and we've not even gone far. This is only, in fact, this only two zoonotic, there are other zoonotic diseases that we can talk about. So by the time these people come in, no adequate knowledge on how to go about it. They'll just come into the production during the season, withdraw back, leaving a problem for us to be solving. They'll come back next year, come out with the problem again, of which the one of last year, we've not finished solving it. So these are the ways that these people are causing, but by bringing in the stakeholders, governments, number one, the farmers, the practitioner, be it in the agriculture sector or the livestock sector, bringing everybody together, I think we can be able to solve this thing holistically.
So, I mean, this same system you mentioned that is also it's a blanket behavior that is very common with people within that environment. I've seen farmers who just jump and say they want to do soya beans in the middle of August. For whatever reasons, somebody just had a chat with them at the beer parlor, or he was somewhere and he heard somebody talking about how much he made billions from soya beans or from sesame. And then they jump, buy the seed and spray the next morning and they blah, 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 blah. Not minding that this whole product is going to go to one market at the end of the day. So can we now say that some of the activities of these people is what is also hitting hard on our own general price mechanism in the industry?
Yeah, to some extent, because you see, this knowledge or this concept of farming is not something you just wake up and say, I want to do farming and just start farming.
So farming or agribusiness, it is a long-term business.
It's a long-term business.
And it is not you cannot be a farmer by accident. If I understand you, it's not.
You can't be
It's not like the accidental line of business you can chase.
You need education.
Some people turn to farming because it is their last resort.
They'll be shocked.
Not because they have the knowledge or they have plans
on how to manage such investments.
Because this is the only thing I can. But there are steps, there are procedures, there are laid down. You must have to follow. You must have to keep. If you want to get the maximum yield, if you want to get the maximum output for your production, if you don't want to encounter any hitches in your production, you have to go by those rules. It's as simple as that. Is what we say. We call it good agronomical practice.
Good. So there are we have a bad.
No, there are agronomical practices, but we have good agronomical practices. When you go by those good agronomical practices, the methods involved, you definitely get proper good guidance at the end of the production cycle. So you see, from I always say, and it is the only way. You have to. Every farmer has to site selection, good site selection, and good seed, not grain. Good seed. Yes, you need to get the seed. Then you have the pre-planting herbicide chemicals to spray to kill the grasses before getting the land. You have the pre-emergence after planting, selective pre-emergence for that particular crop or variety you are planting. Then we have the post-emergence, selective post-emergence also that you apply to kill the grasses. And then you have that insecticide you apply to the for maize, for example. If you have fall armyworm, you can't just go and take any fungicide to go and apply because it's a chemical. No, it has to be something that can control those fall armyworm on maize farm. So you see, some farmers don't have all this knowledge, and you want to go into farming. So actually, the economy you are just destroying the economy instead of building it. So this one will also affect the price in the market. When there is low production, there is low output from the farm. What will you take to the market? What will you even eat? We are still fighting food security. So what will you eat? What will you reserve to sell to cater for your family or other family needs? So farmers need to follow the good agronomical practices. They need to do the right thing at the right time.
Fantastic. It's really good to know. I wish we could actually do this over and over and over and over again. But of course, there will also be another time for us to have this conversation. So at this point, I would like to have your closing remarks to everyone watching this podcast or listening to this podcast. Or what is your advice to them in understanding the dynamic nature of the Nigerian agric business?
My closing remark or my advice is I want to urge there's this organization, call them PAN, Poultry Association of Nigeria, and other organizations like that.
I thought they are not political organizations.
Anyway,
but they are supposed to be working for poultry farmers' interest.
Yes. Not so they should please.
The people who have converted it to the political. They know themselves. They are watching. They are listening to this
So
podcast. They know
they
themselves.
should help us to, to regulate some of these things we just mentioned in poultry aspect and other. We have other organizations too in other sectors, so they should help us so that at least we can actually build, not destroy
the industry.
The industry. Thank you very much.
And then, Mr. Marcus, of course, what would be your closing remark to people watching this podcast who want to also look at investment in this dynamic segment of nature of the Nigerian agribusiness?
Yeah, to my fellow farmers out there, and to really everything.
I like that, to my fellow farmers. Maybe I should be introducing me as your fellow farmer. We will start the broadcast with dear fellow farmers. I'm with you.
The dry season is here, and to really everything, like I always say, technical support is free. Come to Jubilee Agrotech to give you any information you need to maximize your production.
For free, because it's a free thing. It's not like you pay for it. Of course, my name is Adado. So of course, at this point, I also like to say that make sure you're doing the right thing and at the right time, and also you are taking out your time to make sure that you understand the dynamic nature of Nigerian agribusiness before you throw your money at a farm or a quack or somebody who is advising you to invest in it. It's a very unique and a dynamic segment of our economy that needs a lot of study and understanding of the entire scope or a segment of the market you wish to explore. At this point, we draw a curtain to the show today. Of course, we'll do this same time, same channel. Please feel free to share this podcast on any of the channels on YouTube, on all of the other channels and Facebook, Audio Mark, and the Spotify channel that you find this conversation. It will go a long way to support one farmer at a time from your locality to our regional parts of this world, and to ensure that we have a very yielding and prosperous output as we make progress on a daily basis to provide food for every citizen of Nigeria, every citizen of West Africa, and by extension, the whole of Africa. Thank you so much, and do have a lovely week ahead. Make sure you patronize the farmer today. Pay extra for everything you buy from the farmer. I will say that again and again because a lot of African farmers are going through a lot at this season. There is nothing wrong in buying one chicken for 20,000 naira. Thank you, and do have a lovely week ahead.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.